Alright, we are back with part 7, and that is with Bounce Man. Bounce Man's level, I would say, is, while not the most difficult level, that still goes to Impact Man by far. I would say Bounce Man is the least predictable and takes the most runs of the Robot Masters. And the reason for that is, there's just a lot to deal with, and some of the mechanics and enemies, along with the enemy placement, just set things up so that even when you route plan as well as you possibly can, there's just some things that can mess up your run. So there was a lot of attempts that went into route planning, and honestly, even then it just takes a lot of runs. Let's see if we can get under here. Yep. So there's two ways I can use Impact Man's weapon, or I can just try to bounce underneath. Bouncing underneath is more difficult, but it saves... It saves energy. And since that's also Bounce Man's weakness, I like to preserve that when I can. Alright, so our first interesting thing that requires some timing. There we go. If we let ourselves get hit by that air turret, then we would have gotten knocked back down. So we had to work the timing out. Speaking of timing, we also had to work out how to deal with this guy up here. That's why I was bouncing back and forth. Just a small example of how the route planning can get a little interesting. I'm going to take a hit for this. Oh, going to take 2 hits. And 1 more. Oh. Alright, we'll have to reset that one. There we go. Sometimes the level works like that. Believe it or not, that's actually how I had it planned. Alright, so we've got our first instance with dealing with the mini-boss, and I'm going to be taking out his minions because they end up getting taken out anyway when you defeat the boss. So I'm still going to end up destroying them one way or the other. So I don't consider it breaking the run since the same amount of enemies die. But if you feel differently, I'd love to see your attempt, and that's not me being snarky. I'd just love to see other people record and try pacifist runs and pacifist attempts. So feel free to show me taking out that mini-boss without taking out his minions. Alright, so this room has ended with me falling into a pit multiple times. Alright, let's bait that. And bait this one. Bait the shot. Or wait for the shot. There we go. Alright, similar to what you've seen in Tundra Man and Acid Man's levels, there's going to be there's going to be a hit here, and I don't want to take more hits than I need to, so I try to group these together so that I can deal with them all at once. There we go. Alright. So as you're... Whoop, accidental pause. As you're noticing, a lot of what I'm doing here is in relation to route planning. And it doesn't mean you take no hits, but it does mean that you take fewer hits. This room, this room required quite the trick. I'm supposed to go all the way up to the left side, which makes things very difficult to pull off. But what I've learned is, if you use Rush Jet judiciously, you can skip the turret, skip the balloon enemies, and just go straight to the next section, which in this case would be a mini-boss. Well, after this room. So we're going to go ahead and take out another one of those frogs. And there we go. Alright, so this next room is actually one of the harder ones. I know there's a way to get this very quickly, but I haven't been able to find that route yet. So we're going to have to take the long route with a few mandatory hits. Focusing just a little bit because one wrong move and I'll end up needing Beat's help. Ooh. No! So close. Well, I didn't take a hit, but I'm going to end up taking a few mandatory hits now. So let's back up and get a couple of these guys off my back, these yellow guys. Well, that's not helpful having that guy there, but that's alright. Gotta keep moving and don't let that thing chase me down. So we're going off the typical course. Oh, I will take that lucky bounce. Actually, in this case, I will show the other example of how you use Impact Man's weapon. And use speed gear to follow. Oh. Well, that was unfortunate. So this is the unpredictability that I'm talking about. If you don't get things right the first time, things can go off course pretty quickly. Alright, so we jump down here, and we jump down here, and let's go. Can I jump high enough for this? Yes. Alright, and we are just about at the boss. So, the thing about Bounce Man is, well, the thing about Bounce Man's stage is it just requires a lot of route planning and a couple of bounces to go your way. And I apologize for that pun that I did not mean. I promise you I didn't mean to do that one. But when it comes to Bounce Man himself, it's not too bad with judicious use of his weakness and speed gear. Oh, wrong way. Get one more solid hit. But here comes the speed gear. And there we go.
Playtime's over.
So, I am definitely glad to get Bounce Man's level off my back, because that one was quite the pain in the neck. So, in exchange, we get Bounce Man's weapon, which, ironically enough, is the weakness for the next boss. Tell me what you thought about Bounce Man's stage versus Impact Man's stage. Which one looks more difficult? Which one, if you had to do one, would you rather try? In the meantime, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And also, I've decided that I don't necessarily care for my current outro. So I am looking for advice. How should I do an outro? Give me your advice, and I will try some of those things out. In the meantime, I will see you all next time.